as y'all can see, the Jeep is packed up. I am ready to hit the trails, and we're gonna go explore some places that I have never been to before, and this is going to be an epic journey. But no epic adventure wouldn't be complete without scenic views, without national monuments, without clifftop camping. This, ladies and gentlemen, is southern Utah. And this is our starting point, guys, and what we are actually looking at is called Mexican Hat Rock, which was discovered back in about 1908. So this rock is over 100 years old since its discovery, which the rock is probably way older than that altogether. But it was named that by a gentleman called E.L. Goodridge, who had a unsuccessful oil claim out here, and he was also the fellow that there is a town back over here that is called Mexican Hat, and that is what he named the town after, was this rock right back here, which is pretty cool. Kind of sad that he was unsuccessful at what he was trying to do, but pretty cool that he named it. And I can understand why, because when you look at this rock, it actually looks like a person wearing a sombrero, which is really cool. But the thing is, it's only from this spot. It's only really from this spot that you can actually get the true visual of a person's head with a sombrero. If you go to any of the other sides of the rock, it looks completely different and looks nothing like a person wearing a sombrero at all. Trust me, I have driven around this rock to find the best spot, and this was the best spot. But this is still really, really cool, because on the other side of this big, huge rock formation is actually the San Juan River, which is flowing at the moment from snow runoff and things, that runs straight down towards Arizona. And actually behind the camera here, besides it being the small town of Mexican Hat, is Monument Valley, which for a lot of different movies is really famous and has made the place really, really famous, and it is super spectacular. But we're not going to go there today. No, we're not going down to Monument Valley just yet. We have many, many, many other places to go in the 4 days we are out here, and it is going to be a blast. All these places that we are going to are brand new to me. I've never seen them before. I have never gone to them. I've never driven past them, except for maybe this once, long time ago. I was in Monument Valley. I don't remember much of it. It's just, it was a long, boring road, because at the time I was little, I didn't appreciate the things that I do now. But from here, we are going to start heading back up that way, back north a little bit, hitting some other areas, which I'm not going to name just yet. I'm going to tell you as we go along. And this is going to be an absolutely awesome trip. And my goal is to end at a really special place that we won't be able to drive all the way to, but we will have to hike some. But it's going to be really, really special, and is absolutely breathtaking from the pictures and videos I've seen. I'm really excited to go to this place at the very end of the trip, but that's still to come, guys. So let's get back in the Jeep and let's go hit our next destination. This is going to be different than any other kind of videos I've done for you guys in the past. My goal here is to go and explore all these different places that I've never seen before, which I'm really, really excited about. But also to show you guys these unique features of nature that, you know, people don't typically see or talk about and things like that. It's not just going to be me wheeling and driving around and tackling different kinds of trails. We're going to be off-road most of the time. You're going to find some really cool camp spots. I've got many marked on here, so hopefully, you know, some of these will pan out and some of these may not. I don't know. We're going to hit some trails, but along the way there are points that we are going to actually look at things and to get some, you know, I'm going to give you guys some history on these features that I have found in, you know, how they came to be, who did, you know, found them, things like that. And I think it'll be really, really good, just because it'll be, one, more entertaining for you guys, and two, it was a lot more fun for me to plan a trip and do all this kind of research and route planning and just doing it all with the fact of taking you guys to places that most people don't see and actually giving you guys information on it, I think it is going to be a lot more exciting than just driving down a trail and filming the Jeep on a trail. But yeah, that's what we're going to go with. However, now that we are done at Mexican Hat, we are going over to a little area that I've never been to, but I have been told by several people is absolute heaven. They love it to death, and one of the people that told me this, it's one of their favorite places to go when they're in Utah, and so I really wanted to check this place out. So that's what we are going to do. It's roughly 10 miles sort of northeast of Mexican Hat. It's a little place called Valley of the Gods. Located 122 miles south of Moab, Valley of the Gods has been around for 250 million years, and its red rock structures have played a significant role in Native American history. It wasn't until 2008 that the federal government placed Valley of the Gods under protection, and another 8 years until 2016 it was made a national monument. Today, Valley of the Gods is a 17-mile dirt road loop with many dispersed camping spots and stops to look at these fantastic rock structures. How about this little area for a campsite? Now, it's way too early in the day to be thinking about camp at the moment, but this is a great spot to, one, have lunch, and two, to take in all of Valley of the Gods, because we are almost dead smack in the middle of this area, which is awesome. Now, Valley of the Gods is on BLM land, which for most of you out there that know, BLM is Bureau of Land Management, which at the current moment is really hated in Utah. I don't like them either, but yeah, you know. But it is BLM land, so there are tons of different dispersed camping sites out here. Here's one here. There was one back up that way a little bit on the trail that we just came on. But right here, guys, is almost dead smack the middle of Valley of the Gods. Actually, I think dead smack's like right over there on that other bluff. But you can't get to it. But right here is awesome. And there's this little wash that's got some water running through it over there. We have all these different rock formations. This has been a spectacular find so far, guys. All those people told me about it. I'm so glad that I came. Now, we do have a bunch of different rock features to go and check out. We have Battleship Rock, Chicken, Lady in the Bath, and they're all named because these rock features look like that. Kind of like Mexican Hat, how it looked like a person with a sombrero. That's what these rock features. And I've seen photos of them, and I want to see them in person, and they are literally scattered throughout this entire park, which is awesome. And remember how I said earlier, this, you know, a lot of people just keep driving on, they don't really stop here. Since I've entered here, I've only seen 3 cars, and they all drove by me. I've not seen anyone else out here. I've not seen anyone camping, anything of that sort, so this is great. But for now, I think it's time we put on some lunch, eat up a bit, and then we'll continue on and keep looking. So nothing too fancy for lunch. Okay, it's a little more fancier than my typical lunch meat sandwich. We just got some frozen tacos that we're cooking up here real quick. And this view, guys, spectacular. Now that lunch is all done, it is time to take the Jeep and point it back down the trail and head towards one of the better known rock structures here in Valley of the Gods. Now, there are tons of rock structures, many of which do not have names still to this day. But for many people, this is a very recognizable rock structure. Okay, here is our next feature here, and that is actually Battleship Rock. And if you look at it, it actually does look like an old school battleship from World War II. It is really awesome, and all these rock features out here in, you know, Valley of the Gods were deposited by a shallow sea over 250 million years ago. And then when the sea dried up, the wind whipped through here and started carving out a lot of these stone features. And they just, it's ironic how they were just created by the wind like this, and how they emblem certain things that we have in the real world today, or had in the present or in the past, you know, which is really cool, especially this rock. It literally looks like an old battleship. Now, is that what inspired the idea? I don't know, but that is pretty cool to see. So Valley of the Gods, though it is BLM land, was named by the Navajo Nation because it basically, Valley of the Gods was in the spirit of their Navajo warriors. It showed the spirit of them, you know, because it has deep ancestral roots here for their nation, which is pretty cool to think that, you know, they did this for their warriors, and all these towering rock structures in some form or way, you know, envelops their spirit, which I think is really rather cool. And the fact that, you know, you have Battleship Rock out here, we have a couple other ones we're going to see, but everywhere you look, most of these don't actually have a name. It's kind of just left up to your own imagination, if you will. But it is really cool to think that, you know, certain things out here are named that way because of something in our lives that it looks like. But out of all these rock formations, they encompass the spirit of, you know, the native people that were here in the continental United States before, you know, European expansion actually started. Alright guys, I know it's a little bit windy out here, but this was one of the last rock structures that I wanted to show you guys here in Valley of the Gods. And that right there is called Lady in the Bath. And if you kind of look at it, don't know if it's necessarily a lady, but it does look like a person in a bathtub reading a book, which is really kind of cool to look at. But I wanted to show you guys that real quick, just because that was our last rock structure out here that I was going to show you guys here in Valley of the Gods. Right now, we are hitting around 2:30 or so. It's about time to start thinking about camp. Like I said, I have tons of places marked on the map. I have tons of places marked on Gaia for, you know, a campsite. We just got to go find them and check it out. But that is pretty cool rock structure. Now, depending on which side of Valley of the Gods you come in, I came in from the south side up near Mexican Hat. The roads have been great. As you can tell, we are on corrugations like you have no idea. This is ridiculous, and I'm down till about 5 miles an hour. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't have air out of my tires, for the sole fact that this road really didn't call for me needing air out of my tires, and I don't feel like letting air out of my tires for this, you know, section of road to get out of here. But my goodness, is this ridiculous. Now, as you leave Valley of the Gods and head north, you will encounter pavement for just a brief few miles before it is totally taken away. As you go up the side of a massive cliff overlooking Valley of the Gods. Now, don't get me wrong, this road is not difficult, but it does get very narrow, and you will run into tourists that don't understand that those going uphill have the right of way. This road is only about 3.5 miles long before you rejoin pavement, and what I found shortly after took my breath away. Okay, so we finished in Valley of the Gods, and I started following the road that I wanted to go to towards where I had some other campsites marked out. And the road coming up was crazy. It's basically a shelf road that is just kind of maintained but not paved, which I was not expecting, but it was pretty cool to go up it. And as you're coming up it, you start seeing the view of the valley and everything below. Well, I was like, I'm not gonna just stop on the side of that road like everybody else was doing, so I came in a bit and I started driving towards where I had a thing marked for camp and saw a trail off to the side that I didn't have marked on my maps. It's on the map, it is on Gaia, but I didn't have it marked, so I took it to try and see if I could see the view. First off, this is a cool campsite. This is awesome. Was not expecting it. Wasn't even marked, like I said. 2, this is the view that I have from camp. Ready? Absolutely beautiful. Holy crap. I came down this just to look for a view and found this campsite. This spot is giving me vibes from Moab back in September when I just decided, hey, let's go over here and look. That is gorgeous. That is Valley of the Gods. We were just down in there. We just did it. I see the whole road through the whole thing. There's the lady in the bath battleships over there, the chicken over there. Like, damn, guys. You have the Rockies back over there. You have mountains over here. Oh my goodness. Was just not expecting this. Not at all. Every once in a while, you just come across a place you can't pass up for camp. And I have been lucky in my travels so far to have had several places that fit that bill. But let me tell you, this one was one of the best. I was talking with Lindsay. I have like 3 bars of service. Somehow in the middle of nowhere I have 3 bars of service, so I decided to say hi. But I have been cooking, and it's more of a so far the theme of this trip when it comes to food is like a lot higher standard than what it used to be. So in here I have chicken breast that I dipped in a little bit of water, put some seasoning on, and drudged it through instant mashed potato. And then I cooked it in here and added just a little bit of water just because the chicken breast was kind of thick, needed it to cook through. But it is cooked all the way through and it smells delicious. Over here I have some water boiling with butter and garlic and shrimp. And then I have fruit and things like that in the fridge still. But yeah, this is turning out to be leaps and bounds over my previous meals in the past so far. It's crazy. But I'm enjoying actually being able to cook, and honestly, having the table here and the awning and just having all this set up makes cooking at camp so much more easier than it used to be, especially having that table, because before I was doing a balancing game of stuff here, there, everywhere. And then, like I said earlier, having the ability to have two pans on this stove at the same time with a gap between them is huge. But dinner is done, so let's plate up and start eating. And enjoy that golden hour, guys. That sunset right now over Valley of the Gods up here. Oh, is it money right now? Money! Good morning, guys. We are on the move. Now, normally I would have, greeted y'all, shown you the sunrise, had, taken my time this morning, but I woke up to the sunrise, which was absolutely gorgeous, but there are a lot of dark, ominous storm clouds that have started rolling in faster and faster, so I didn't want to waste any time packing up camp because I didn't want to run into a situation where everything would have been soaking wet. So, and these clouds are just getting darker and darker. So I packed up everything and we're now leaving camp. And on today's agenda, we are heading over to one of the national monuments in Utah. Now, there are lots of national monuments and spots throughout Utah, but this one in particular was one of the first national monuments in Utah. And here in just a second, you're going to see why. Alright guys, we're at Natural Bridges National Monument, and behind me is one of the 3 main bridges out here, and all these are kind of what Utah's known for. They are naturally made bridges that between wind and water have created. But this is the first one. This is Sipapu, I do believe. I'm saying it wrong, I apologize. But this is just one of the bridges out here. We're gonna see all three of them. Now this first bridge is approximately 220 feet tall by 268 feet wide, which is crazy. But this is actually one of the first national monuments in the state of Utah, is Natural Bridges National Monument. But it is one of the first ones that is out here. And just looking at this landscape, guys, you can see why they made it a national monument, to preserve it. Because if it wasn't, I guarantee you it wouldn't look as nice as it is now. But this is awesome. We are descending down to Sipapu Bridge, and I'm following the trail. There's actually trails that lead you down to the bridges. I'm not sure if all of them do, but we're gonna find out today. But I figured we'd take this. However, the sign did say, be extremely cautious with icy conditions. Because you could slip. Because you're pretty much descending like 220 something feet into the canyon. So I'm just taking my time, being cautious, but I'm really excited that there is a trail that leads you down to the bridges itself. I thought for sure that you wouldn't be able to actually go down to see the bridges, because like a lot of national parks or monuments throughout the United States, half the time you can never actually get to it. So I'm really excited that you can actually hike down here. Ooh, that was a little tricky. That last little step right there is just covered in ice where you have to put your foot down. Makes it a little harder to get down. Check this out. That right there is absolutely stunning, guys. That is so cool that I could come right down to it. Loving it. This is Kachina Bridge. It is approximately 210 feet tall and 204 feet wide, and it was actually named after the Hopi Kachina spirits, which down at the bridge, or at the bridge itself, it shows it looks more like a snake, just kind of the carving, and the Kachina spirits usually had snakes tattooed on their bodies for the Hopi people, so that is kind of what it's named after, which is pretty cool. Now this is super cool, guys. I'm not going to talk really loud because when I do, it echoes really loudly. But this is beautiful down here. You have this just creek. Through this creek bed, the water is just rushing. Well, it's not rushing. It's just flowing through here really peacefully. There's actually some hieroglyphics, petroglyphs, whatever the heck you want to call them, up on the wall, which was really cool. I did not expect to see that. This is just really, really peaceful down here. I can't believe it. There is another trail that leads to the last bridge, which is back up that way. There's also another trail that leads to a little cave area back over here, and I'm gonna go check that out. So let's go and see what's in that cave. Here is this little cave area. It's a little less of a cave, more of just an outcropping. And as you can see right there, water actually, there it is. Water actually runs down through that. So I bet this would be a really cool waterfall when all the snow is melting, as it just dumps into this pool. Because this pool is really cool. And if you can tell, the top part of it right now is frozen. That is a frozen pond at the moment, and you can see, I hope the camera can show it, back over there the water is still frozen, but you can see it moving under the ice, which is awesome. This was a really cool find. I'm glad I walked down here and decided to come over here and check this out, because From up top, it doesn't look like this. It just looks like a dark hole, which to find out that it's just really frozen and really pretty, that's awesome. Absolutely gorgeous. Just a short drive away is the last bridge within the park that we will see, and boy, was it spectacular. All right, guys, this is the last bridge out here. This is the last big bridge, I should say. And this is Awachomo. I'm probably saying it wrong. I apologize. It is Awachomo Bridge. And this bridge is a little bit different than the last two. This one is only 108 feet tall and 180 feet wide. But what makes this one unique versus the others is, as you can tell behind me, there's no longer water flowing under it. And according to, if you will, nature and the laws of all of it, and the people that come up with all this crap, that in order for a bridge to be made, water has to flow through it. Well, the water that flows through here no longer happens anymore, unless it's snow melt that kind of runs through. So there is no longer water that flows through it. Like the other two, the creek still had water and it still flows through it, which makes it really cool that this one's different. The other unique thing about this bridge here is this one is really great at being able to stargaze and seeing the Milky Way and things like that in our galaxy. There are some really amazing pictures that people have taken of stargazing out here underneath this bridge and getting to see it, which is pretty spectacular. And when people think of arches in Utah, this is the arch they're actually thinking of, because this is one of the most, photographed for stargazing and just in general arches here in this state. So the trail I took down here is actually from the overlook area. So each trail has an overlook and then a trailhead that takes you down to it. But if you go back to Kachina, there is a trail that you can take over to this arch, and it's about 3 miles. I didn't want to do that, but right there is where the trail goes back that way for 3 miles towards Kachina, and you can connect it. Which, if it wasn't so blessed cold, because it is only about 34 degrees and windy, I would have done that hike. But I'm not going to hike in the cold like that, especially since tomorrow we have the ultimate surprise thing that started this whole trip, and I can't wait to get to it. But that one there is hiking involved, and it's a long out and back hike, so it's going to be worth it. It's going to be worth it. But for now, I think it is time that we head back to the top. I'm going to take this in just a little bit longer, and then we got to get some fuel, because there's not a lot of fuel out here in southern Utah outside of the small towns. And where we need to go, I need to refuel, and then we have several hours just to get to where I want to camp tonight, which is near the start of the trail for tomorrow. The drive to camp is a bit of a longer one, but a beautiful one. A combination of Utah State Routes 95, 24, and 12 make for a continuous changing landscape of canyons, rock formations, and cliff top drives that lead me to BLM 200 route, a 52-mile dirt track out to camp for the night. Well, what a day, guys. What an absolute day. First, we started off in this morning's Super awesome campsite overlooking Valley of the Gods. Couldn't beat it. Then we went over to Natural Bridges National Monument, checked out the 3 main bridges, had a blast. And then for the past 6 hours, I have been driving on one of the most spectacular roads I have ever driven on in the mainland United States to get to this point here. And now where are we? We are, obviously, you'd think we are 6 hours away from where we started yesterday. We're really not if you go as the crow flies. A direct shot across, we're probably, I don't know, less than 100 miles from where we started off today, this morning. So it's not that far, but you have to go all the way around, because where we are going tomorrow is, as I've been talking it up, is a really spectacular place. And it's absolutely beautiful from images I've seen, and I want to see it in person. And it is where the Colorado River and 2 other rivers combine and join to make Lake Powell. Then the Colorado keeps going on to the Grand Canyon, things like that. But it's where these 3 rivers intersect before it goes to Lake Powell, and it is actually called Reflection Canyon. That's right, Reflection Canyon. And I am super excited to see this canyon, because it's supposed to be beautiful. Now, like I said at the beginning of today's video, and yes, my son is disappearing quickly, we do have to hike to it, so it is going to be a bit of a hike tomorrow, but it'll be absolutely worth it. But for now, guys, I'm going to sit back, enjoy a nice cold drink, enjoy this view, and make up some dinner. Dinner's going to be real simple tonight. We're going back to a Zachary special, sandwiches. Just because it took so long to get here, I don't feel like really cooking much. Good morning, everyone. We are starting our hike. So I got up real early at about 5 o'clock this morning, packed up camp real fast, and started driving to get out to the trailhead. I am super excited, but I'm not going to bore you the whole way of me just hiking. So I'm going to finish eating my breakfast as I go, guys. This is the lovely landscape, and I will catch you all after I finish breakfast. Hidden at the end of BLM Route 200 and revealed to the public in 2006 by National Geographic, Reflection Canyon is a stunning sight to behold. However, this hike is not for the lighthearted. Though most of the terrain is not overly tough, it is substantially long. Out and back, you are looking upward around 16 miles, with miles 7 and 8, 9 and 10 being completely on slick rock. Having plenty of food and water is necessary, and a good map of the trail is a must. Most of the trail is carved out from over the years, but the slick rock is not at all, and getting lost out there is a very big possibility. Now, I have to admit, the hike, the backdrop behind me, and it was in front of me, was awesome. It constantly gave me something to look at the entire hike out. And as you get closer, where the slick rock is and where the actual canyon is just comes more and more in the view. I just kept getting more and more excited to see it at the end. But the hike back was a little tough. The last 4 miles of the hike really took its toll on me, and with the sun being up as high as it was, I got tired. made it. I've actually been up here for quite a little bit, and it is absolutely breathtaking here. That down there is the Colorado River flowing out. Right over here is the conversion of 3 other rivers, including the Colorado as one of them, that continues on as the Colorado. And it is awesome. You know, it was 7.5 miles to get out here, which was a little longer than I was expecting, but it was 100% worth it. Absolutely worth it. And this entire adventure over the past few days has been so much fun. I have seen so many new things I've never seen before. I've camped in some really cool places. I have had just an absolute blast. So thank you all for joining me. If you haven't, hit that subscribe button, guys. You guys are what makes this channel happen, and we are still growing, so go ahead, hit that subscribe button, guys. Also, links to my other social media accounts are in the description below, as well as a list of parts that I use on my Jeep. But until next time, guys, thank you for joining me, and I'll catch you all later.